Hello and welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining the Diverse Early Careers event. Today, we're going to be focusing on all things internships. And I've got three really brilliant guests who've all had a very different internship experience. And we're going to be talking all about that and sharing their insights and their advice to help you guys moving forward in your careers. Thanks so much for joining everyone who's jumped on straight away. Bang on 4 p.m. Love to see that. We want to make this sessions really, really useful for you guys. So if this is the first one you've been to, first of all, my name's Tobi and I'm the founder of Diverse, which is a free careers community supporting now over 5,000 young people. We've grown quite a bit in the last few years. All we're about is helping young people from underrepresented backgrounds into some of the top opportunities, top employers in the UK. We work with organizations like the Science Museum Group, Warner Brothers, Capital One, BT, and we've got some really exciting opportunities to share. But we also love doing these sessions where we can share education, advice, and make you guys feel more confident and ready and prepared for whatever's next for you in your career journey. So just as we get going here, just a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, you've got the chat you can see there in the top right hand corner where you can interact with each other. I can see Pav is already on it there in Birmingham. We got Cameron as well, as always, great to see, and Aisha as well. Just to the right of the chat, you can see the question space. So that's where you can add in your questions and we'll get to those. So that's really, really important. We want to make these sessions as useful as possible for you. So if you've got a question, add it to the question space and we'll get to those towards the end, but keep adding them throughout so we make sure we have enough time to answer those. Hey, Jenny, how you doing? And you can also upvote as well. So you can vote for the questions that you want to be answered first. So we'll really prioritize that. So don't forget to check that out as well. And throughout, guys, we're going to be throwing some polls at you, some questions at you as well. We want to make this really interactive and as useful as possible for you all. And so, yeah, let's do a quick, actually just drop a quick hello in the chat as well, just so I can make sure that it's working for you guys. And maybe just as we go through the intros here, let us know in the chat, what are you doing? What are you looking for? Is it a internship that you're on the search for right now? Have you got an offer for an internship? Or are you right at the beginning, not too sure what you want to do, trying to figure it out? So drop a hello in the chat and let us know sort of why you're here first and foremost and what you guys are looking for. But without further ado, let's go around the virtual room and say hello to all of our guests. So Emily, do you want to start by saying a quick hello and then pass it on to Shay and Soji after that?
Hi, my name's Emily. I don't know if I'm doing like small intro, but yeah, I've just graduated and it's my internship.
Yeah, and let us know as well, Emily, what where have you graduated from? What did you study? And what is your job title now?
So the mic cut out, but I got the last bit. I'm doing my internship at the Science Museum in curating, so I'm doing work in collections.
Brilliant. And where are you studying? Where were you studying previously? Where did you graduate from?
Oh, I graduated from the University of Sussex.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining. And Shay, what about you?
Hi everyone, my name is Shay. I'm 19. I studied at the University of Nottingham Finance, Accounting and Management, and I'm doing finance at the Science Museum as an intern.
Awesome. And Soji?
Hello, good day. I am Soji, currently studying for a master's in digital and strategic marketing at the University of Bradford, UK, and also currently working as an exhibitions intern at the Science Museum Group.
Love it. So yeah, really exciting one. We've got 3 interns here who've all got some experience with the Science Museum Group, who are one of our partners as well, who are going to have lots of more early career and entry level opportunities for you guys to check out. But let's start by going around the room and learning a little bit more about your experiences, what you've learned, what could be really beneficial for our audience. So as I said, guys, if you're just joining now, drop in the chat what it is you're looking for. Is it, you're on the lookout for an internship now? Have you got an internship and you're trying to figure out how to make the most of it? or are you waiting for your offer to come through or something like that? Let us know in the chat why you guys are here so we can make this as useful as possible. So Emily, starting with you, what were you doing before your internship? Can you kind of take us back to, that what you were doing beforehand? Had you done much in your career beforehand, or where were you at before?
So before this, I'd literally just graduated and I was doing part-time jobs in my university. So working open days, typically working as a widening participation ambassador. So I was working with young people and children, kind of promoting the opportunity of going to university. So I had a lot of work trying to really boost inclusion and diversity and representation. So I think that kind of fell into this role as well, because one of the big S&G values is representation and being inclusive. So it really just came all together when I started doing my research here, but also my work here. I think that pretty much wraps up what I was doing, because I was just working hard at university as well and trying to take time out to figure out what's the next steps, but also what I would want out of this internship and what I enjoy doing in general.
That's really, really interesting. So you kind of combine that interest for widening participation and diversity and inclusion and saw a really good opportunity here. Why do you think you're so passionate about that? Why is that your thing, do you think?
I think it kind of came to me when I was at university, because it was just majority white institution and majority white town, and we all tried to find a little bit of representation within that space, or just the space of the UK in general. So I think when I was doing my widening participation work, I really reflected on what opportunities were out there when I was younger, or what opportunities that I saw or didn't see. So I kind of just got interested in that, and just it wasn't, when I was doing my job, it wasn't more me saying you should go to uni. It's more, this is here, this is an option and you can do it. Don't limit yourself. Just because there's barriers, you can do anything and everything, just if you put your mind to it. So I think that framework just got really embedded into my mind, and it just continued as I graduated from uni, but also go into next steps of my career.
Love that. Yeah, I love that. I love that connection you've made. I think that's something that everyone should really think about. What is it that you feel connected to and passionate about, and trying to match that up with your career? And that's exactly what I did as well. Similarly, I'm really passionate about increasing diversity and helping young people with their careers. And obviously that's the direction I've gone down as well. So all right, next up, Soji. So for you, you had a bit of a different journey, bit of a different background to our other two guests, coming from Nigeria. So let us know about that sort of transition, why you decided to come over to the UK, and how that led to you get into the Science Museum Group.
Right. Okay. I would like to think of myself as a marketing communication specialist. So I've had the opportunity of working in the creative publishing fintech and SaaS industry in Nigeria. And I worked, I think, about 3-4 years right after my first degree. And then I wanted to go back to uni and to further, because my background wasn't really in marketing. My first degree was in psychology. Right after that first degree, I fell in love with marketing. So I thought, why not just further in marketing? And so yeah, I made a decision to apply for a master's program in the UK. And while the master's program has been enriching and intense, I also wanted to acquire new skills, and also just to boost my resume, right, with a UK experience. So I stumbled on the 10,000 Black Interns initiative or scheme, and I applied, to a couple, indicated my interest in various fields, And I think being matched with the Science Museum group stems from my interest in arts and culture, because I'm really passionate about arts and culture. I've had experience working in that field back in Nigeria, working in publishing, working with an arts and literary organization. So it was just a no-brainer selecting, or like, indicating my interest in that sector. So so right now I'm working with the exhibitions team at the Science Museum Group, and it gives me an opportunity to apply some of the transferable skills I have from marketing. Because I'm working with the exhibitions team, I have to do a lot of copywriting, interpretation, and just creating content that will resonate with the target audience. So
Brilliant. Yeah. So again, thinking about what you're most interested in, and because I think I speak to a lot of young people who are interested in art and culture, but they maybe have done a certain degree and they think, oh, I need to go get this corporate job, or I need to go get this city job with this consultancy or whatever, because that's what my parents expect. But I think it's really good if we can kind of reflect on what do we enjoy the most, what are we truly passionate about, and see if you can kind of overlap that with, as you said, your skill set and your interest in marketing. So definitely want to come back to some of that and hear more about what is you actually do on a day-to-day basis in the exhibitions, and what that actually looks like for sure. So and for you, Shay, when you found out that, because you've got a very different role, I suppose, in terms of finance. So when you found out about yourself being sort of matched up with SMG, how did you feel about that? Why were you sort of motivated to take on this role, and why did it sort of really interest you to get into SMG?
I feel like the main reason that actually influenced my decision to pick SMG over other companies was definitely because of the cultural heritage that SMG have. I've grown up in Manchester, so it's quite funny. I remember in primary school, I used to always go to the museum at school trips, and I used to just walk around and just be fascinated by the presents. So I think when I got the SMG offer, it definitely played a bit of my childhood aspirations to work, because I always remember saying when I was younger that I'd love to work there. So, and in terms of the actual finance itself, I love how the team have been able to incorporate loads of different areas of finance, because I believe if I went down a specific role in finance, especially being 19, I feel like I've still kind of finding my feet within the financial industry. And credit to SMG, they've allowed me to settle in and try different elements of finance. So, for example, we're currently tasked with investment analysis as well as sustainability analysis, which is something completely different to what I'm learning currently in university. So I feel as though I can appreciate SMG for allowing me to get the diverse elements of finance, and maybe later on in my career path be able to specialize and focus on one thing.
Love it. Yeah. So learning a lot. I guess that's one of the big reasons to do an internship. I mean, it's the different way of learning versus being in a classroom, right? Like you actually applying the actual practical things that you've learned, and you're watching and learning from other people who are doing it as their day job as well. So invaluable experience. Let's dive in a little bit more detail into what you're actually doing on a day-to-day basis for everyone to picture it and understand it. So well, actually, let's stick with you for a second, Seiji. So what does that look like? Because when we chatted, you told me actually there's some things involved in that role that you wouldn't really expect for a museum. For example, the investments that they might do as an organization. So yeah, why don't you take it from there and tell us what you actually do in your role?
Yeah, so I found it quite interesting, because initially coming to the museum, I think one of my main questions was, especially the museum being a non-for-profit organization, how do they actually invest? So I feel as though that was really interesting to come and, for example, my manager was able to sit me down and walk me through kind of the structure and explain that the government actually fund the museum, and they need to basically generate revenue from investments to fund the museum. So I found that quite fascinating as well. So I think that was definitely an element that I never knew. So it definitely taught me about the different kind of asset classes. We looked at the bonds, the equities, and the cash assets that the museum have, which was quite intriguing as well. And just looking at their kind of risk management, because you'd expect maybe in today's generation, a lot of companies take a more high risk strategy in investments, but the museum's a lot more kind of safe and play it safe. So it was quite interesting to learn about the investment strategy. And in terms of the sustainability on a day-to-day, I think most of my tasks actually consist of presenting this project. So they've basically given me the project of looking through the museum sustainability greenhouse gas emissions and seeing how, as a museum, maybe they can reduce emissions. So it's definitely been, filled with a lot of activities day to day, and I've definitely enjoyed every bit of it.
Right, awesome. And again, like I had no idea when you told me that. I was super surprised because that sounds like what you do with an investment firm, and that's interesting to me because if you've got a background in finance, it's good to be open-minded about where you can apply that. Every company needs to have obviously their eyes on their finances, and sometimes it's the internal side of things, and sometimes these organizations also invest in the market or in bonds and other things as well. So, and do you mainly do the sort of analysis there then in terms of whether or not this is a good investment before the money is made? Is that kind of where you do where you contribute to the team?
So no, I think the museum actually currently work with two investment managers. So it's quite very well structured. It's quite surprising, but it's really good the measures that they have in place. So they work with an investment management company called Elgin, which basically provide them with the different kind of assets that they should invest into. My role tends to consist of taking the data that is provided from Elgin and formulating it and then producing like an analysis report on whether they're performing and matching targets, or if they're exceeding or underachieving. So I think it's been really interesting to kind of be the kind of like the middleman in the data processes. So it's been really been fun, yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, if anyone's interested in a sort of a finance-based role, hope that sounds intriguing to you as well, and lots to learn from Shay on that. Emily, how about you? You've got a very unique role, which I think this is the challenge when candidates are maybe looking around at different job opportunities. They see titles and they're like, I have no idea what that really means. And I think that crops up sometimes with heritage and museum-based roles as well. So can you kind of help demystify that for us and help us understand, what your role is and what you do as well?
Okay, so it's funny that you asked that because like when I first got this, I did not know what curating was, and they had to they wanted us to decide between like learning and exhibitions, and I was just there like, I don't know what I'm gonna be doing in curating, and but yeah, so essentially I'm given like, and then I have to do research on that and make my own kind of like exhibition research package with it. So like throughout, like my main project has been researching. So we got given the topic of oceans, and like a lot of the other teams kind of revolve around that topic as well. But essentially, I have to do a little research package exhibition that's coming out in I think it's 2027. So like the actual research that we're doing is being implemented. So I've been looking at like, because I'm interested in global history and I didn't want to do the whole world, I looked at like the Caribbean Sea and fear, and I've been like looking at objects related to that and making a package about it, a presentation, kind of seeing the consequent, like what the museum has done related to oceans so far and the sea and the Caribbean, looking at what the museum hasn't done and just trying to make something out of that. But also you have elements of like, I'll go to meetings and shadow different teams or like curators or just research in history and like public history and community science. So like I also have like this project on the side where I look at case studies within the Caribbean and like what people are doing actively to help the ocean. So if I'm looking at plant life, I'm looking at okay, what countries in the Caribbean like local communities are doing and trying to like research, see who the stakeholders are, but also kind of look at the pros and cons of each one, try and compare, contrast. It feels like I've been saying this for the past like 6 to 8 weeks. It feels like I'm at uni, but like a more kind of independent version where like I get paid, but also you have the freedom to go wild. So like they gave us oceans, but they didn't say you can't do this or you can't do that. Like I've just been able to do what I want. Like I'll have my line manager say, oh, try and maybe put like a parameter on it. You can't look at this. Don't make it like hard for yourself. So essentially it's like a kind of more free version of uni, but also with my conversations with curators, I've like picked up bits and pieces and learned that if I do become a curator after this, it's not essentially like, oh, I'm gonna make my own exhibition. Like you get told what you have, and then you research from there. But there's bits and pieces where you do have choices, and it's not like you're being forced to do something. So it just feels like uni, but at a museum, and you don't have deadlines really, and no one's on your back to like get things done.
So, and just to sort of picture this, and we'll talk to Soji about the exhibition side, but I'm walking around the museum and I see different exhibitions, different sort of sections where I can learn about different topics. And so, as a curator, you're the step before that, where you research a certain area. So in this case, you're given oceans, and you have to dive into that and find out what is most interesting and what could people be, most sort of excited to learn about. And then that kind of goes to the next phase. So that's sort of how it works, right? It's very much, as you said, it's similar to university. You're learning, you're researching, and then helping to influence what gets put into actual museum, right?
Yeah, it's exactly that. I think we've got added elements to it. So we're obviously thinking about the different types of audiences that we want, and then we curate it to that. You're also looking at, for instance, oh, it was literally on the tip of my tongue. We have like strategic values as well. So like, be curious. We want to like really boost science capital. We want to boost like science learning and STEM careers and just like representation. So whilst you're doing that research, you're also trying to like make sure you meet those values in some sort of way.
Yeah, that I've heard quite a bit about that. There's a big focus on, as you said earlier, like widening access with museums, because I think it's historically maybe hasn't been for everyone, and there's certain museum groups that are really focusing on changing that. So that's really cool. And as I said, guys, keep the questions coming. So we've had some good questions so far from Aisha and Cameron. Keep adding those in, and we'll get to those towards the end. But just want to make this really relevant for you guys. And actually, I want to run a quick poll just before we get to Soji, just to see if you've actually ever previously thought about working in a museum before, so a career in the museum. Give me your response to that. Yes, no. Have you ever thought about this before? I'll leave that up for a few seconds, see what you guys think. So it looks like you have. Okay, we've got a bit of a mixture. We'll give it a few seconds for that to come in. But yeah, just interested to think, have you ever thought about this before? I personally didn't. I went to Loughborough, I did economics. I only really thought about working in these corporate jobs and companies that would always come to the the careers fairs and those kind of things. They were like deeply embedded into my like plan when I was applying to internships and placements grad scheme. So it looks like over 80% of you guys had never thought about working in a museum before, and I think that's a part of what we want to give to you as diverse. So we want to give you a really diverse range of opportunities and get you thinking about other industries and organizations that might have fantastic roles for you guys. So thanks for that, and we'll be playing a few more polls throughout to see where you guys are at. So Soji, how about you then? What do you do in terms of your role, and talk to us about how it connects with marketing, any transferable skills, because I think a lot of people probably have thought about marketing but maybe not obviously exhibitions.
Right, good. Thanks for that question. I think one skill every marketer should have is storytelling. You must be able to tell stories, right? And I think that was just being someone who likes storytelling, who's passionate about storytelling. It was easy for me to like gravitate or like settle well into the exhibitions intern role at SMG, right? Because essentially what the role entails is you crafting content or interpretations for an exhibition, right? You're essentially telling story, right? So you work with cross-functional teams like the curatorial team, the audience research team, to get a sense of, the makeup of the audience you're creating exhibition for, so that you're using the right message or using the right language. And also just being able to tell stories that will, shape lives, that will shape attitudes. For the SMG group, like the overarching goal is to improve the science capital, right? Which is essentially to get more people to learn more about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and they have like, you know, this enormous collections that they can use to tell these stories. So for me, I think unlike other interns, I'm actually working on a project. So right after the induction, I got paired with an interpretation developer at the National Museum of Science and Media here in Bradford. And I was tasked with the responsibility of creating an online exhibition on chemistry and photography. This has never been done in the history of the museum, I believe. Like, this is the first time they're like putting together a digital exhibition. So just it's been a daunting challenge or daunting task, but I think for me the major highlight is it's been a learning curve, because getting to work with cross-functional teams like curatorial team, being able to like tap, you know, experts across the museum group. Like, I mean, last week I was sending an email to someone I don't even know, just, you know, to help me fact check some content, some chemistry related content. So yeah, for me, I think because I enjoy storytelling, right? It just seems like a perfect match working in exhibitions, because essentially you're telling story to an audience. So it's like you're conceiving an idea and trying to present it in the best way possible, in a way that will resonate with, you know, the target audience. Yeah.
Interesting. So it's a real sort of copywriting, physical marketing type role where you're telling the story in the text that I'm reading and what I'm looking at in terms of the exhibition itself. And
Yeah.
that's interesting.
I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you walk into an exhibition hall or a gallery and, like, you know, you see accompanying text.
Yeah.
You know, for every piece, there's like an accompanying text that like gives you context as to what that particular object is about. So like that is, you know, the brain work of the exhibition team. So yeah.
I see. Very, very
Yeah.
interesting. And I could see how that would lead nicely to a marketing role or vice versa. Would, if you've
Yeah.
got, I think copywriting is a really important skill. We're going to be doing some more training on
Yeah.
copywriting as well in some of our upcoming sessions, where we'll help you to learn some of the tips and tricks there, because it's a super invaluable skill. So coming back to you then, Shay, how was it adapting to the working world for you, being obviously a student? What was it like first few days, weeks in SMG? Did you find that really difficult? Was it an easy transition, sort of walking through the door? How did you find that?
I think, yeah, definitely this being my first actual office kind of environment, kind of work experience, it was definitely a lot more challenging to settle into the office. But I think in terms of the actual SMG kind of environment, big shout out to Alex. She helped us feel very welcome in the induction process. So, we did a lot of induction activities together as interns, which allowed us to bond and meet each other. So it definitely calmed my nerves. And being the internship being in London and me being from Manchester was my first time ever in London. So I think there was a lot of things I had to adapt to initially. But I think in terms of the actual settling in phase, it was quite nice how SMG allowed me to feel like I settled in.
That's really good. Yeah, they've got like that environment with essentially someone to help mentor you and coach you through the process. Is there any advice based on that you would say to the audiences if anyone's starting maybe their first internship, to help them maybe settle in, or something you learned that you would like to share with the audience that to help them adapt into the working world for the first time?
I think the biggest advice that I would give is just definitely be yourself, because a lot of people, especially in SMG, and it depends on the working environment, a lot of people accept who you are. So if you have a certain hairstyle, if you are a certain way, just be yourself. And I think that's what helped me settle in, being able to mix and talk to people from different backgrounds. Some people from London, some people from different areas in the UK, different kind of ways of speaking. So it was definitely good. And I feel like that was the main thing and the main advice I'd give to anyone that's starting an internship, is always be yourself.
Yeah, so important. I mean, you can only pretend to be someone else for so long. And I think if you're doing that, you're not going to be comfortable. You're not going to work at your best, right? So yeah, really, really important to be yourself. How about you, Emily? What were your sort of maybe let's talk about sort of what you expected beforehand. What did you think about museums and the museum industry? Did you have any expectations about what it would be like? And was that different as soon as you got into SMG?
I feel like I thought not that it was going to be intense, but I just thought it wasn't going to be as chill as it was. Like, just everyone's so chill here. You start, and I think our first day, a lot of us were like, "Oh, when we actually start working, do we have to get here by 9?" And they were like, "Just between 9 or 10. Like, nobody is on your neck to like get to work at a certain time." A lot of people are like, "Make sure you don't overwork yourself. Have breaks." Like, I think at the end of the day, they know that like we're gonna do our work and get our work done. So we've just been treated like professionally, not casually, but just like it doesn't feel as formal as like it would be in like a big office in like London. Like it's just chill, like everyone's good vibes. But we also draw the line of like you still have that professionalism, like everyone's still gonna get their work done and not like I don't know, act improper. But just yeah, like I think I was overthinking SMG being like this big scary workplace, but really it's just chill and you can just do whatever. Like as long as you get your work done, as long as you're good and nice to everyone. Everyone's like really nice and sweet. I think, for instance, I went to library and like the library, whenever I go to university libraries or something, they're always strict and they're always like kind of rude to you and they always say don't do this and don't do that, and just the librarians here were just so sweet. They like did anything and everything for us, helped us out, and it just feels like everyone's so nice and supportive. And when we got our passes and like got settled in, it really felt like we were one big family, even though like everyone's in different teams and departments and not everyone knows each other.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have that perception, don't we? Like before, because I think if you've never worked in, it doesn't even need to be the museum industry. It could be anywhere really in the corporate world. If you've not like tried it before, it's difficult to know some of these nuances. Like for example, you've got a space to go and get your work done. You don't have someone like micromanaging you with their head over your shoulder, watching every single thing you do. So it sounds like a really nice, supportive, relaxed environment. And I don't know if sessions like this would potentially help for other people moving forward to really kind of demystify those ideas and really understand that it's not like that at all organizations, and SMG is definitely one of those as well. Soji, what about you? Is there any advice you'd give to anyone in the audience about adapting to their first internship and doing really, really well once they get there?
I think if I were to give an advice, I think I would say keep an open mind. And sorry, because I saw someone posted in the comment section as imposter syndrome ever been an issue, and was it a case of growing into the role? I think that's what it said.
Yeah,
and I mean, you would have doubts going, especially like if it's a new sector or like if you're doing it for the first time. Like, I have never worked in a museum, but like I've worked in adjacent industries. So while I had high expectations of myself, and I would like to think that's the same for my managers, and I just kept an open mind and wasn't really scared to make mistakes, right? So one thing that has helped me so far in navigating this internship is just asking questions. I love asking questions. So I just ask questions relentlessly. So if nothing is clear, I just get up and ask questions. I try to interact with a lot of people. I've interacted with, like, here at the Science Museum group, I've interacted with people I've not even met in person, just by asking questions. And like, I think that's one of the good things about working with the Science Museum group is like, help or support is readily available. Like everyone, you look left, right, center, everyone wants to help you. So it's just, the work culture is great. Yeah. So, yeah.
Love it. Yeah, no, that's yeah, really powerful to hear you say that. And so I hope everyone is listening and taking notes, because that's exactly what you want to do when you get into a new role. I remember for me as like a manager now, I guess I like it when the team asks me questions and wants to know how things work. 'Cause that really shows that they're on it, they're being proactive, they're trying to learn, and that's the best way to learn and grow. And another thing you mentioned was just going out there and not worrying too much about failing, and really just trying to do well, because at work and in our careers, we're always going to have moments where we fail at times, but that's the only way you grow, and you have to continue to kind of push outside your comfort zone to try and do better and better. And as long as you're sort of open with your manager and asking questions and understanding, if you're allowed to do whatever you're going to do, then I think dive into that with confidence, really, that you can make it work. And I think one of the things that I did quite well when I was doing my internships was always asking for feedback on how I could be better and what more I could do to contribute to the team. And understand, okay, is my manager really busy with something? Is there something holding he or she back that I could maybe take off their plate and support with? And I think that kind of attitude is exactly what you want to bring to your internship. So we've got a few more questions that have come through. Let's get to some of those shortly, but I just wanted to run another poll at you guys just to understand where you're at now with what your focus area is, what you're struggling with the most. So is it deciding on your career path? Is it picking the right employer for you? Is it the application processes where you're trying to submit those applications, but you're not hearing back, not getting through to the next stages? Is it the interview? Are you managing to get to the final round interview or the first round interview, but not quite getting over to the next step? Or is it lastly, once you've actually got that internship, perhaps you're a bit further ahead and you've actually landed an internship, but you're worrying or you're thinking about how can I do really, really well? So it looks at the moment like it's deciding the career path and then the applications as well, which so yeah, I'm hoping a lot of what we've talked about is maybe going to help you with that. You've heard insights around a finance role, curator, an exhibition, obviously with SMG. There will be more roles to come as well with SMG. And I also just want to take this time to tell you about 10,000 Black Interns as well. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard about 10,000 Black Interns already. And Soji mentioned them at the beginning there. They run an incredible internship opportunity with lots of different employers where you essentially apply to join a program and you can get matched up for interviews with different employers as well across a range of sectors that you might be interested in. And applications are opening up for the next round, for the next program in September. I think we've got about 18 days to go there. So look out for that as well. We'll send some emails around afterwards. You've got all the links, but you can just go over to 10,000 Black Interns and apply to join there. So just looking at these results, guys. So deciding your career path, applications and interviews. I'm going to pause that now. And just in terms of deciding, we've heard from all of our guests here, and they all thought about their passion first and foremost, and that kind of led them on to the next thing. So they combine their passion with their degree background and kind of try to find a mixture of there. So that's something I think to think about. What do you like doing in your spare time? What do you take to naturally? Think about that. And so as an industry, you might say, I want to work in sport, I want to work in tech, whatever it may be, and perhaps combine that with whatever your skill set is. And we actually have a course as well on early careers and helping you decide your career path. So you can dive into that as well for some more insights. But just on the applications piece, for you, Shay, have you got any advice for anyone now who's applying to internships on how to actually make sure they get to the interview stages? Have you got any advice on the initial application that we always have to do?
I think the biggest advice I would give is make yourself stand out on your CV. I think that's what I did in sixth form college before I actually got to university. I would do a lot of extracurricular activities. So I started a finance society with one of my friends. Just little things like that show that you're actually interested in what you're going into. So I'd say that's my biggest advice. Definitely just making sure that, like you said, your passion is represented through kind of like the purpose behind what you're applying for. You can't just apply for a finance role with no interest or added or extracurricular work on finance. It's quite hard to get a role otherwise. So that's my biggest advice.
For sure. And there's a big difference between saying you're passionate about finance and starting a finance society, right? So, that it's like, show me, don't tell me, right? What about you, Emily? Have you got any advice on applications?
I got like two similar to what he just said. Like, obviously, try and do as many things as you can because I think like it shows that you're actively like wanting to do things. Like, especially sometimes if it's like volunteering or if it might take a lot of time out of your schedule, it's just good to try new things because then you know what you don't like and what you do like, and like it just adds things to your CV. But I think the main thing that like helped me with this application was passion. Like, obviously, I like going to the museums. I love museums. I went a lot as a kid. Like, it's just been ingrained in me. So, like, I think that passion kind of drove through with the application because I didn't know much about the science museum. Like, I've been here, but like science is not my forte. But like my love for museums is, and I think that's what kind of drove my application.
Perfect. Love that advice as well. And how about you, Soji? What have you got in terms of someone out there trying to make their first application?
Um, just you don't necessarily need to have like a conventional work experience, right? Like the other speaker said, you could you could make a case with just a volunteer experience, right? So um, when I moved to the UK, one of the first things I did was to like volunteer with like various organizations, right? So and that also helped while I was putting together my application for the science museum group because I was able to like reference what I did and like finding a story to also tell can make you stand out because I remember how I got one of the volunteering role was just shooting shooting them a DM on Twitter, and I was able to get what was it called? I was able to volunteer um, at the organization. So yeah, find a story to tell that can make you stand out in your application. You don't necessarily have to have a work experience. It could be your passion and some of the things you've even done by yourself. It could be like a solo project. So you don't necessarily have to wait until you have a work experience. You can find things that you're passionate about that you've worked on, and you could highlight those things in your application, and that would definitely pique people's interest. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's great advice. Volunteering, creating your own content or projects, and as Shay said as well, really getting involved in creating a society, whatever that is, and as Emily mentioned, getting involved in these different experiences shows how interested you are in lots of different things. And again, it's all about showing the employers rather than just telling them, because to be honest, guys, 99% of the applicants will really just say, oh yeah, I'm passionate about this, I enjoy this, I'm really good at that. But if you can say instead, oh no, I've actually shown that I'm interested and passionate about this by doing this in my spare time or by volunteering or whatever it is, that's how you really get to that sort of 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 application. So let's get through some of these questions now then. So Pav has a question here. So has imposter syndrome ever been an issue, and was it a cause of growing into the role? Or the case of growing into the role? So that's from Pav. So have you ever felt any imposter syndrome, and did you feel, I don't know, you had to sort of grow into the role over time? Emily, do you wanna grab that one?
Yeah, I always have it. Like, I had it at uni. I had it before I started this role, and it was really bad. But like, I think my friends were like supportive. They were just like, "Listen, you got this job." Like, obviously, they saw things in you, so like, it was hard earned. Plus, I think on our first day, Alex turned to us and was like, "Out of 600 people, you guys were the ones that chosen," and da, 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 da. Like, we really did feel like we worked hard for this and like we were picked for this for a reason. So it kind of like eliminated the imposter syndrome. There was still moments where it popped up now and then. Like, I think when I when it was like the first few weeks and I didn't have a pass, I was like, okay, I feel like an actual imposter here. Like, I just have like this random wristband. Like, this is, but yeah, I think you just have to tell yourself that you worked hard for this. And like, I think hearing it from other people, it kind of sinks in more. So I think my best advice is just listen to the people around you and like get out of your head because it's that's just going to eat up your time, and it's not worth it at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, well done to all of you guys as well. I didn't say that at the beginning, but well done for all of you to go out there and get these fantastic opportunities and do so well in them as well. So, and yeah, that's interesting. So you really like leaned into the positive feedback that you're hearing from the team, and I think everyone else as well. It's important to remember that employers are having conversations every day about how they can get you guys to apply to their roles. Like they genuinely want you to apply and get these roles. And I think if you're the type of person that's going to come to these kind of sessions and join in with these conversations, that's the type of person that they want in their organization as well. So great answer there. Thanks for that question, Pav. Great question. Got another question here from Anna. What has been your biggest challenge in your role so far, and how have you grown from the experience? So, Shay, what's been your biggest challenge so far, do you think, and how have you kind of grown from that experience?
I think kind of related to Emily's answer a little bit was the imposter syndrome, but not from kind of the angle that I would have expected. It was more so, my first experience in finance, actually practically taking what I do in university and applying it to an actual work kind of role. So I think actually coming to grips with formulating balance sheets or looking at like analytics, I think for the first week or 2 weeks, everything was kind of like blowing my mind away. I didn't really understand most of the information, but it was good to have the team on deck to help me settle in. And they never looked at me and expected me to understand all the information. They understood where I was coming from as an intern, so they really helped me settle in, which credit to SMG has really helped me in terms of developing my technical analysis as well. I can say that now through help from people on the team, I've been able to become better at Excel, for example, and learn loads of things that I can definitely take, and transferable skills that I can take into the future. So I think that was my biggest challenge initially, coming and facing the imposter syndrome of, am I good enough to do this, or am I good enough to be here? But as you said, employers are always looking to bring new people. So it's not about how you are currently, it's about how willing you are to learn. I think that's definitely my biggest takeaway.
And that, what stood out to me there as well is like you didn't have necessarily all the skills that you needed for the role, before day one. But and that's, I think, something that people worry about, right? You see a job description, they say maybe, oh, if you've got this, that would be great, or it's a role that obviously you haven't done before. You think, have I got the skills for this? But you're saying they kind of gave you that support, right, to help you develop those skills and teach you things that you didn't know before, so you could do the job, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think they definitely they made it so that it was easily accessible. They sat me down and they explained some things to me in ways that anyone can understand. So I think that's another thing, credit to SMG, that they never looked at kind of the position I was coming from and expected me to know all this stuff. They just kind of broke it down like a normal person. I think that was something that I kind of wondered if that would be the case working in so many big banks. People talk about how they just throw work at you and expect you to get it all done. I was quite fortunate that the director of finance, my manager, and this intern has been able to sit me down and explain things to me, and I've been able to actually learn things as any normal person would. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it sounds like you guys are getting amazing support at the Science Museum groups. That's great to hear. Question from Tracy for, I think, Sergey, it'd be great if you could help with this one. What advice would you give to a recent graduate who would like to come to the UK for a job opportunity, as you've done? So you mentioned that a little bit early on, but any other advice you want to share on sort of coming to the UK, making that transition?
I mean, if you're looking to move to the UK for job opportunities, I mean, you're like, I'm not an immigration advisor, but like I know there are like some like visa routes. I know there's like the global talent visa route. So if you're like, if you're good at whatever you do, you can have experts, I think, in your industry or in your industry endorse you. And that's one of the avenues, or one of the ways through which you can like emigrate into the UK. Another thing is just applying for jobs in the UK. There are loads of organizations that are able to like sponsor talent into the UK. So those are some of the ways through which you can like emigrate into the UK for work. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. And there's some specific job boards for that, like tier 2 jobs.co.uk is one. And there's certain companies that sponsor visas. We've got one in the Sanger Institute who'll be hiring hopefully later this year as well, who covers visas. So look out for those. And And for you, Shay, we got a question here from Cameron around finding internships. So obviously, you went down the 10,000 black intern route, but any other platforms or anything else that you tried to find the internship that's right for you, or that you're still using now?
I think the main two that I used were 10,000 black interns, and I was quite fortunate because my university actually gave us like a list of some internships you could apply for. But upon actually understanding more about opportunities like this, I found so many more platforms that I never even knew of. So I can give names of Farage, SEO recruitment, Rare London, just different. There's loads of different Upreach as well. There's loads of different platforms like 10,000 black interns that sponsor individuals from diverse backgrounds or just normal backgrounds to get opportunities in the work environment. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there and a lot more scope in today's world.
Awesome. Yeah. Keep an eye out for these programs. 10,000 at Black Interns is a great one, as I've mentioned. That's opening up again soon. In terms of internship opportunities, we've got some great ones as well on our job board. Aisha, it'd be great if you could put the link to the job board in the chat, actually, and let everyone know about some of the current roles we've got. We've got opportunities with Formula E right now and Warner Brothers, and more to come from the Science Museum group as well. We've got about 10 minutes left, guys, so we'll just wrap up with these key questions, and I'll give the guests a chance to share any closing statements or messages after we've done that. Any advice for a beginner in terms of interviews and to improve their interview skills? Emily, any advice on that, on the interview side of things?
I think like generally, if you're at university, they do hold like interview workshops. So like go to those, or like just general ones. I think just be confident, always prepare. I'm speaking from experience, literally always prepare for interviews. Like even if it's like 15-minute preparation the day before, 30-minute, just like look at questions and use the STAR method. Like they always want to hear like the situation, task, activity, result. I don't know if that's the A, but like use that method, because like they eat up that, and just they love the structure and the fact that you're saying, okay, I was in this situation, this is what I did, and this is how it progressed. But literally, my best advice would be just always prepare for your interview, so that like if they throw anything at you, you know, or you have an idea and you don't get thrown off.
Yeah, that's for a tell me about a time question. So tell me about a time you've shown excellent teamwork and skills, as you said.
Yeah.
Situation, task, action, result, action, activity, pretty much the same. Result. And so, if you can go through that structure, that's going to really help you for any tell me about a time question. So that's a great answer. And yeah, do practice, research and practice. So for me, I like to practice answering questions out loud as well. Just people think you're crazy if you do it in the middle of public, but if you just do it at home, with the windows shut, the curtains closed, and practice answering those questions that might come up, because a lot of the same questions come up time and time again. So really just getting used to answering those, perhaps with a friend as well, who could maybe do it with you, or a family member. And I just think practice really makes perfect. So as many reps as you can get in beforehand, the better. A question here from Kishan. Similarly for cover letters, Soji, have you got any advice at all on cover letters? I'm not sure if you guys had to write a cover letter to apply for any of these roles, but if so, any advice on that?
There isn't like a one size fits all approach for cover letters, because but there are like great templates online that you could adopt. But essentially, like in your cover letter, you want to be able to highlight your skills and how it fits into the role you're applying for, and also stress on the work you've done and how it also fits into the role you're applying for. Essentially, I think those are like one of the key things you have to highlight in your cover letters.
Yeah, definitely. And it's about those why questions, isn't it? Like, why this company, why you, why this role? Like, you want to address those three things. And I think the starting point is always the job description. So you want to read the job description, highlight any skills that they're looking for. Or it could be, rather than skill, it could be passion in something. You want to try and highlight them. It could be with a highlighter or do it on the computer. And then you want to try and weave that into your cover letter and really make it easy for them to see why you are the right person for the role, based on your interests and, like we've been saying throughout the session, experiences that you have and things that you go and try, and really just spell it out for them and make it clear. But something that I think someone said on this event once was, the cover letter is kind of like the movie trailer. So you don't necessarily need to include everything in there, just the real highlights that is going to get you to the interview. That's the whole point of the cover letter, to kind of get you to the interview. And if the cover letter is optional, don't take that as optional. Take it as mandatory, because the people that's part of it, really. The people that do the cover letter really well can kind of shine at that point. So I would always say take your time to do fewer, more targeted applications, and always take the time to do a cover letter if they've asked you for one. Couple of things left to go through. So quick one here from Aisha. So what was the most surprising part of your internship, and that you didn't expect to be a part of the role? So Shay, have you got anything else to share on that might have surprised you in the internship?
I think the most surprising thing is just the inclusivity with the interns in terms of the various things that we do together. So I was initially expecting just to be in the finance office 24/7 with no kind of like autonomy, but we've been fortunate to go to a lot of really cool exhibitions, and it's good that the SMG kind of culture is very diverse and open, that you'd find people on the finance team leaving work a bit earlier to go to the different exhibitions that have been open. So I think I think that's the most surprising thing, just being able to try a lot of different things and go to a lot of different events and exhibitions as well.
Yeah, I love it. I can tell with everything you guys have said that you're having a great time at SMG. So I'm super happy for you. Last question here from Tracy. I'll wrap up on this one. This is about any advice that I would tell my 23-year-old self, which makes me feel and sound very old, but I will do that. I think we've done. It's a bit of a summary of what we've talked about. So I think it's like show, don't tell. So demonstrate your skills and your passions and interests with your spare time, and then bring that to the table with employers. I think be open-minded as well. We've spoken about this, and we've seen that most of you had never thought about working in a museum before. I think really at the beginning of your career, this is the perfect time to be super open-minded about where you work in terms of industry or maybe geography in England or in the UK, and really be open-minded, because the most important thing is not the salary, it's not the company name, it's you learning at the beginning. It's a perfect time for you to try different things and learn and figure out what you want to do, because it's so hard to figure that out just sat behind the computer. Like, you do need to get out into the world and try these opportunities. So I would say this is a perfect time to be open-minded and not so risk averse in terms of what you try, because because you start somewhere doesn't mean that's where you're gonna sort of end in your career. So really be open-minded at that beginning part. And then lastly, I would say this, and this is important for whether you've got an internship or not, and it is your network. There's a phrase, your network is your net worth, and there's some truth in that. Once you get into these internships, I would recommend having as many coffee chats as you can. When I say coffee chats, it's very common just to go, grab a coffee. I don't drink coffee, but grab a coffee. We'll go for a walk for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and talk about someone. Talk to someone about their career, what they do in their department. You want to go and try and meet as many people who work in the organization as you can across different departments, because you're going to be able to learn about how the organization works. You're going to have a relationship, and that's just how business works, guys. Like, from there, that person might refer you for a job, they might want to hire you, you never know. And again, you might learn something from them. So those would be my top 3 things to bear in mind. And just as we wrap up here, I'm going to send one last poll at you guys. So would you now consider starting your career within a museum group? Are you going to say no, and that's absolutely fine? Maybe you don't feel it's for you. Maybe you're more open-minded to considering it, or yes, if you definitely think you would, hit me with that. So that'd be just to see. And yeah, just want to say a big thank you to you guys for all joining and sharing some wisdom. Is there anything else that you want to share, or any last thank yous you want to share with the group while we've got them? Anything at all? All good. Looks like we covered everything. So yeah, Emily, Shay, Soji, thanks so much for doing this and joining. I'm going to close off that poll in just a second. Cool. And yeah, thanks so much for joining. All the best with your remaining internship with SMG. Would love to see you on another one of these sessions. Maybe in the future we can talk about your next steps and where you go from here. For everyone in the audience, keep an eye out for all the opportunities on our newsletter. We've got more events coming. We've got one next week. I'll let Aisha put that into the chat as well. And so yeah, keep it coming, stay engaged, keep commenting and sharing your questions, and we'll see you at the next one. And for anyone who's looking for an internship right now, good luck, and really believe that you can do it. Everyone on the stage has done it, and we believe that you can do it as well. So awesome. Let's wrap it up there. Thanks, Shay, Emily, and Soji. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Toby.
Cool.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having
No worries.
us.
Bye, everyone.
No worries. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Bye.